Hi, thanks for joining the show today. Thanks for joining Life with Lisa Bradshaw. As you know, we're in the studio sometimes and then showing tour episodes at other times, so I'm glad always to be here and be in the studio and having local guests. So that's what we're doing today. On today's show, I have guest Annie LaCroix. She's the owner of Brainy Boss, and she is here to give us some advice about efficiencies in business, but also to talk about an idea we've had about bringing something a little special about storytelling to downtown. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
So you've been on the show before because I like to pick your brain about business and how efficient it can be and how, just how we sometimes make it harder on ourselves than it has to be. So tell us a little bit about your story and how I know that you had a bit of a health crisis.
Yes.
That we haven't talked about before on the show.
Right.
That led you to thinking, I've got to get my act together and kind of not spread myself so thin.
Well, I did, and the story's a little bit long, which brings us into why we're doing this event that we talked about doing. But basically, I had been overworking myself for so long, thinking that that was the way to get everything done. And I became sick enough that I was no longer able to do that anymore. And so I had to come up with better systems and better efficiencies so that the business could work without me, rather than relying on me to be there all the time. And after I did that and saw the freedom that that gave me, not only with health, but just with my life, I realized that this is something I want to share with other people, because we definitely, I think it's very common for everybody to say, just hustle, 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 but not do it with intention. And so bringing intentional hustle into how we own business can help us with our health, our lifestyle, and everything else. So that's a really condensed version of my origin story.
So you were in that predicament with your health at the same time that you were launching your massage school, which is Columbia River Institute of School of Massage. So you were kind of behind the eight ball in terms of you'd already had this, had this ball rolling, so you had to follow through.
Yep, I was too far down the road. I mean, I guess you can always stop stuff, but I wasn't willing to do that. I wasn't willing to give up on what I had dreamt of doing and what I had planned to do. And I was pretty far down that road and needed to adjust in order to be able to complete the opening of the school and successfully running the school with longevity. And I knew that I needed to set myself up for the long term, not just for getting stuff done tomorrow.
Well, you and I have been friends for a couple of years, and we started out as colleagues. We met each other at different social events, and specifically, I think, GWADA events mostly.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so one of the things that we've decided to host an event called Storytelling at the Mercantile, where the new building is downtown, and we'll get a little more into that. But it was through you and I discussing our individual stories that I had no idea that you had a bit of a mountain of debt. You had leased the house that you're in, that the school is in. You've now purchased that house and a couple of others as investment property. So you took a really difficult situation and turned it into something of really, it's offered you more freedom in your lifestyle.
Definitely, absolutely. And I think that the thing that really stuck out to me and what you and I talked about is that a lot of times we don't know how people got to where they are today. And those stories, and I rarely tell my story because I'm focused on business, right? And I got there because of things happening. And being able to share those stories with other people, I think, is so important, because it shows that we're all connected by similar but different experiences, and that we all have a road that we traveled to get to where we are. And it was funny because we have been friends for a long time, and yet when I shared that story with you, you were like, I didn't know that. And I realized, I've never told you that.
Well, and it makes sense because in your line of business, it's not something you'd share.
Right.
Whereas part of my work is to share my story, especially when I'm on tour or I'm doing promotions for the tour or things like that. It's part of how I make a living is sharing my story and encouraging people to share their own. And so that was how we came up with this idea. So Annie and I work together about once a week. We get together for accountability, and we set goals, and we're getting through a couple of modules that we've decided on that we wanted to get through over a certain period of time. And we thought, everyone has a story, and us getting to know that story a little bit better with each other, we started thinking about what are the stories of business, and not just downtown, but in Wenatchee? Like, what brings a person here in their life and in their career And I believe in Wenatchee as much as I believe in having success in New York City. You can do anything you want to do here.
Absolutely. And we all got here from different roads. And what kind of event could we create to learn about those different roads that brought us all to being here? And that blossomed into this bigger idea for us, which I think is exciting.
So we're hosting an event called Storytelling at the Mercantile. And why we're talking about it on the show today is because we are inviting businesses to reach out and contact us about sharing their story at the Mercantile at the event that we're going to hold. And this event will be just, about 4 speakers each time. Yep. We said about 10 minutes, refreshments and things. And so it's just a way for us to see that that takes a while for us to get where we need to go.
Yes.
And there are really incredible stories in Wenatchee about how people do business and how they came to do business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a really fun, unique way for sharing what we're all about behind whatever our business names are or businesses that we work for, or whatever. I'm excited.
Well, one of the guests we'll have on in a little bit on the show is Jeff, and there's a team. He's an executive producer at North 40, and there's 4 people who invested in this building downtown and have created what is called the Mercantile, and it's a place where work share happens, and he can tell you more of the details about that. But we thought Storytelling at the Mercantile, it's such a beautiful space. Mm-hmm. It's new to downtown. I think it's part of, it makes it more evident about the growing businesses and things that are happening in downtown and throughout Wenatchee. I just think we have a thriving economy, and it's a great way to share that information.
And when you're walking through there, I do always wonder, what's their story? How are they here? So, hey, let's have an event with storytelling.
I think that even just by how they label our doors.
Oh, yeah.
Because each private office has their logo or whatever it is, and some are very straightforward. There's an engineer or something in that room, and then others are a little more colorful and it still makes you wonder, like, what do they do in there?
Right, and they're glass doors, so you get a little peek in, but not as much as
right.
you could from sharing stories.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. So Brainy Boss is your business,
yes.
And you do kind of a membership consultant.
I have a combination of things. So I have a podcast, and then I do one-on-one business strategy and consulting. But my primary focus next to the podcast is a membership group that is for entrepreneurs who are women who want support in a group away from social media. You know how I am about time management, and it's a big focus, and social media is a big distractor. So I've created a mentorship group where people can come in and get access to me and other entrepreneurs for advice, support, encouragement away from the distractions of social media.
And I will say that Annie is a very no-nonsense kind of, you're going to get what she promises, and I think that's part of the thing. It's like I like to cut through the fluff, and you cut through the fluff, and so how would people reach you?
You can reach me at my website, annie@brainyboss.co, or you can email me, that's my email, annie@brainyboss.co, or my website, brainyboss.co.
And if you want to be one of the businesses that are a guest speaker at the Storytelling at the Mercantile, any of those events coming up, I believe we're planning to have them quarterly, please, you can reach out to Annie or myself, and you can visit the don'twaitproject.org website. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And look forward to working more on this with you.
Sounds good.
Hi, we're back. Thanks for joining Life with Lisa Bradshaw. We had Annie LaCroix on the show earlier talking about her business, Brainy Boss, and the idea we had to have a storytelling event at the Mercantile. I think we're going to do it every quarter. So if you're a business that would like to share your story, it's just a 10-minute talk, nothing too pressuresome, about how you ended up in business, not just the business you run, but how you came to be in business in general in Wenatchee. I say it all the time, I believe in Wenatchee. We can achieve anything we want here, and I think that Jeff Ostenson is an example of that. Thanks for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So you are the executive producer / owner of North 40 Productions. That's where a lot of people know you from.
Yep, that's true, for sure.
You make beautiful films.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's one of the things I think, like, you get to live in Wenatchee and make beautiful films.
Yeah, it is a little bit rare, and when we travel outside of the area and meet with people from, they're in the documentary or production business, maybe in LA or Seattle, they always go, "You do that in Wenatchee?"
Right.
And it, really truly is by choice. We all the folks that work at North 40 all decided to live here, and we wanted to make a living for ourselves here. And so we kind of banded together to create North 40. And thankfully, and knock on wood, we've been fairly successful, and we'll be continuing North 40 on into the future.
Yes, I'm happy about that. And you're also very generous with us. We have our anti-bullying program, and every year you donate lights or whatever else Mike can't haul over from New York. But
right, and he's coming.
Yeah, I'm sure he's emailing you, getting that all together.
He did.
So tell us, now we're here to talk about the Mercantile. I think it's just one of the coolest things to happen downtown. And I want to know a little bit about how that vision came to be. There's 4 other owners, or 3 other owners besides yourself. There's your co-owner.
Yep. So the ownership is my wife Heather and I, and then Rick and Corey Ray, who are also from Wenatchee and friends of ours. It's kind of a long story, but I'll be as brief as I can. First of all, as you mentioned, I own North 40, and we really wanted to. We've always been downtown. We want to stay downtown, but I kind of wanted to own the building we worked at, just as an investment. My wife and I have chosen to invest whatever we can in downtown. That's kind of our favorite place to be. We live very close to downtown. We both work downtown, and we have for the last 15 years. So that's kind of where we wanted to be. I wanted to own the building. So we sold our house in East Wenatchee when we moved downtown, and we took those proceeds and wanted to invest. So kind of started there, and then actually Rick Ray, our partner, one of our partners, actually he commutes. He lives in Wenatchee, but most of the time he's working in Seattle or in Salt Lake City. So he was working out of his house and got tired of working out of the house and wanted to co-work with somebody. So I had an extra desk at North 40, so he actually started about 3, almost 4 years ago, started working out of our office. So we were sort of test driving this idea
of merging separate businesses
exactly.
in one place.
Yeah, and we really liked it, and it was so much fun to have somebody that wasn't necessarily an employee, but had some instinct around documentary film, because that's his background as well. And we were able to teamwork on some things, and I helped him with some stuff, and all of a sudden you could really see the synergy and the excitement of just having the ability to collaborate on a different level. So that's when we started talking about it, and and this just isn't out of the blue. Obviously, there's a trend of that in large cities. That co-working space is kind of what's been going on. But at the same time, you've got GWADA, and you've got the Port, and you've got the Chamber, and you've got the Downtown Association, all talking about Wenatchee and the revitalization of downtown and what do we really need. And it seems like on everyone's list, and our valley included, was co-working space. So it wasn't like we just kind of came up with this idea on our own. A lot of people were asking for that to happen. So a lot of things kind of merged together, and we weren't the first by any stretch. But we did come across this particular building that is in the heart of downtown. It's right in the core. It's right across from Mela. It's a big, grand, old, beautiful building. So a lot of things kind of came together to make that the spot.
Well, I think it's a beautiful spot. And I think, too, what you're talking about with collaboration, Annie was just here talking about efficiencies in business. It's got to be more efficient for you to be in that building, basically run the building, own
Sure.
the building, and then have your business in your building.
Yep.
And there is collaboration that happens. I just hired a photographer out of the building for an event we're doing.
Right.
I got to do some voiceover for you a couple weeks
Yep,
ago.
yep.
I mean, it's kind of just, there are a lot of creatives in the building, then there's some engineers and some other number crunchers and all different people.
Yeah, and that's the fun part. I mean, I think that, people, I suppose there are people out there who just do investments just to make a return, and that's okay. But I think that, as I mentioned, my wife and I, what we're really interested in is seeing downtown revitalize and be a prosperous place for everyone. And we want to make a return. I mean, let's be honest. We can't lose money in this proposition. But at the same time, it is so much fun to walk out of my office and see 2 people who maybe never have met before.
Right.
Having a little meeting, or they're going out into the front flex space and having a little meeting, or they're going to go out after work together downtown to a restaurant or to grab a beer somewhere. It's just really fun to see those connections, especially early on, very organically kind of being created. And that's the purpose. I mean, that is the intent, is to create a community in that space, and it's actually really fun, especially the long road it took to get here to finally see it kind of happening.
Well, I walked in there to look at flex space, and there was one small office left, and I was like, call the owners. I have to, you had someone filling in that day. I'm like, I have to rent this space. And like within a couple days, I had quotes up and things that I like. And same was true for me. I worked from home for many years, and it really worked for my life. My son, I was home when he got home from school, and his second year of college. This is now his third year of college. I thought, well, he's not going to be home next summer because he'll be on an internship. So I was making excuses to go to town, like I need lip liner, or do I need toilet paper? Like what reason can I have to go get out of the house? And so I'm really happy to be there, and I think whatever vibe you were looking for, I think you have it going on there.
Great. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, and that is really the idea. Not only in your example, a lot of people have offices. I'd say about 60% of the people who came in have offices, a head office somewhere else, say in Seattle, and so they were going over there once a month or twice a month or something like that, and then working out of their house and just feeling really disconnected. And I think it's sort of it's ironic or just sort of interesting that in this day and age when we're so connected and social media and the technology is there, is we're actually lacking that human contact. So you can sort of see that latent demand of, I just want to be around people and just hear somebody talking over there and being able to, pass somebody on the way to the restroom or to the kitchen or to get coffee and be able to just have just a moment of a maybe meaningless conversation about nothing, but it actually is that personal connection I think we're kind of have been lacking. So it's fun to see that start to happen. And I know that it's been super meaningful for me. In what we do in this kind of creative endeavor at North 40 is to create art for clients. So we have to do a good job. We have to have the art component, but we have to do it on time and on budget and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes it gets very stressful, and sometimes you don't know exactly what you should do. But we've been able to call, like, hey, can you grab everybody who's available right now, come in and watch this and tell me what you think.
Right.
And I've been just dying for that to happen for so long, and it was just the other day we were able to do that, and we got so much valuable information by having that ability to just grab some people and get some eyes on something and get a different opinion, and that's just going to make the piece better. So I think it elevates what we can do at North 40, like, right away.
I believe that too. I mean, I think too, as a writer, I'm getting ready to write my third book, and having a space that is mine, aside from my kitchen counter, is really, I think, it's a creative space that I'm happy in, and I think when you're happy in the workspace, you'll thrive in a whole different way. So I'm glad to be there, and I'm glad to be working with all of you. And again, we're hosting the Storytelling at the Mercantile, and this is an event where we're inviting businesses to come to just talk for 10 minutes or so, 4 businesses at a time. We'll have some refreshments. So if you are interested in participating in that, please reach out. You can reach me at don'twaitproject.org. There's a contact page, and I'll be sure and see if we can fit you in. We're going to do it every quarter.
Sounds great.
Thanks for letting us host it there.
Oh, our pleasure, for sure.
All right. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, we're talking about a lot of things downtown today. So, of course, I wanted to invite Linda Haglund, Executive Director of Wenatchee's Downtown Association. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you. And let me, before we get going, publicly thank you for what you're doing in this community and your connection. You're bringing it home. And I think what I hear from people is this personal touch. It's really, really appreciated. And we don't tell you enough. So thank you.
Well, thank you. You're going to get me all choked up. Well, I appreciate that. I believe in Wenatchee. I said it both segments. I think we can accomplish anything we want here. And the fact that Town Toyota sees that I could go out in other places in the country and bring those stories home and get to host the show, I'm really grateful.
Very
so
cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here to talk about a lot of cool things that are happening downtown, but we are going to narrow it down a little bit and have you back later for November to talk about some other special events. But the wine walk's coming up, Halloween, some new buildings downtown that are being refurbished. Tell us whatever you want to tell us.
It's just so cool. What a great time to be downtown and have this job. I just pinch myself every day that I get to do this, right? But I think what I want people to know that we have 11 buildings currently right now in downtown in what we call adaptive reuse rehab. You mentioned the Mercantile earlier. The Mercantile is a great example of people loving a building and investing in a building. And this is private investment. And I don't think people realize how difficult that is. One thing that's consistent about old buildings is they're way more expensive to fix than you ever thought, and it takes a whole lot
always
longer.
find out something you didn't anticipate. Right.
But the bones of these 100-year-old buildings are so true and so solid. They really are a good background of what is happening. So we have 11 buildings in rehab, over $40 million the city estimates and happening right now in our downtown. The Mercantile is just one of those stories. So I applaud the believers of a great old downtown, of believers in something old, that they can make something new. An example just to walk in and how the Mercantile feels, right? Mm-hmm. You see that historic little nuances in that building, but it is modern, it's fresh, and yet it feels it's a part of our DNA. And it's a part of the DNA of downtown. And I love that these buildings are rehabbing right now, and that 5 years from now, this downtown will look totally different as far as the spaces. So I just applaud the believers in these buildings, and that's going on. And every day there's something new happening. And every day I walk by a building and go, oh, that looks so much better. The Midtown on the corner of Orondo and Wenatchee Avenue, how they're giving that building new life, and it just looks so much better.
Well, I as a storyteller, I think it's very interesting to have people come in and say, how did you get into business? Not just downtown, but in Wenatchee. Why do you choose to live here? We have all our list of reasons why Wenatchee is such a wonderful place to live. So that's why we wanted to host the event at the storytelling at the Mercantile, because we just want to know a little bit about how everyone ended up doing what they're doing, not just their business story, but their personal story too. So we're excited about that. And we've definitely done a call out throughout the show to give businesses an invitation to reach out to us if they want to participate. So you have a couple of events coming up that we want to make sure we get in on this. Halloween is coming, and so everyone loves downtown at Halloween time.
It is.
And so tell us, what time do parents bring their kids and what to expect? We have just a couple minutes.
So surprisingly enough, it happens on Halloween, the 31st, right? And we shut down the avenue between Orondo and 2nd Street, with leaving both Orondo and 2nd open. And so we shut that street down. We start shutting down a little after 2. Halloween starts at 3 o'clock. And you will see all kinds of nonprofits handing out candy, fun things. Waste Management brings a brand new garbage truck, which the kids just love, and they trick or treat from it. Link brings a haunted bus that's not too scary. It's just super fun. Bookmobile comes down. The police department, the sheriff's department, the PUD, Goodfellow Brothers brings an excavator. That's all in the middle of the street, all trick or treating. So from 3 until 5, have at it, right? Have a little patience. It takes a little while, but we encourage people. It is a safe way to trick or treat on the avenue. And it will be from 3 to 5. And trust me, at 5 o'clock, it's done. They're out of candy. It's done.
And then just quick, we just have one minute left. Let's talk about
Holiday Open House and Wine Walk. So every year, it will be the 9th of November. It's that Veterans Day weekend. We do a Holiday Open House and Wine Walk. It's from 12 to 5. And we encourage people to come. They buy a ticket for it. They get a wine glass with tokens, and they get to visit 20 locations in downtown, 20 businesses where we have placed wineries in those businesses. We have some brand new wineries that we get to expose you to this year, plus our 3 tasting rooms are downtown. So everybody has some snacks for you along the way, and from 12 to 5, you get to stroll into these stores and get a little pre-look at the holidays, but also just enjoy downtown. It's always a great day. So those tickets are on sale right now.
Well, I should know better than to have you in for one segment. I'll have you back in November for a whole show. And we're wrapping up. No, because you have so much great information. So I'll have you back, and we're going to talk about the Banner Heroes, Veterans Heroes Project. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much. And come downtown.
Yes.